I hope you all had a fantastic trading week, and with that being said, let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Starting the forecast off with the US dollar index, the DXY, you can see we've been waiting for this low and this demand zone to be removed. In last week's forecast, I did say I did think it was going to be removed, but look at what took place here. We had a massive red candle down as we broke the low and the zone, and then an immediate green candle back up, followed by another green candle. So what I think this is some sort of manipulative move. Now I am still kind of bearish the DXY, even if we do push back up to this daily area of supply, and we will come back to this daily chart in just a second. But I do want to point out here on the 4-hour chart that we did actually break this 4-hour downtrend. So like I said, on the daily chart, we were breaking the lows that were important. Not only that, we had a daily downtrend continued. We had a 4-hour downtrend. Things were really looking good for dollar shorts, and then all of a sudden, boom, after we broke that low, it looked like it was some sort of fake out to stop out all the long traders from there. We blew through a supply zone and a downward trend line, and now we are floating above this downward trend line on the 4-hour chart. So I think that is definitely a sign that we could see some more strength to come in the DXY. Do I think that this strength is going to last, months? No, I personally don't. I can change my mind later if something else takes place, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I think this upward price action is going to be short-lived. I think it is possible we do pull back down to this 4-hour demand zone at 103.38, however, and maybe react off of that to the upside. I think that is definitely a potential move. If we break this demand zone, that would basically prove that the 4-hour downtrend is continuing, and then we can continue to look for US dollar shorts. Now, I am still bearish the dollar, so shorts are going to be fine. Throughout this forecast, I will point out longs and short opportunities, but just want to point out in the 4-hour chart here that we did break significant trend on the 4-hour chart. And what I think is taking place is we are potentially pushing back up to this daily area of supply at 104.80. So like I said, the 4-hour chart, the trend broke. Now we are pushing up, and I think that maybe the institutions want to push price back up to this daily supply and then get a nice move off of that like that. So this is the move I am anticipating in the DXY. It doesn't mean we just short up here, absolutely, but it does mean that I think that this rally will be short-lived and we will pull back up to this daily supply and react off of it. It's a very good base drop supply zone. And look, if we break this daily supply like this, let's just say we blast right through it, that would suck, because then we would have basically a sideways market, and it's very difficult to trade in a sideways market. It wouldn't surprise me if that did take place, based on it being kind of the summer right now, and the price action hasn't been the best. But overall, I think we are pushing back up to this daily supply, and this will be the next test for the dollar to see if we can react off of it to the downside. All right, on to the Euro US dollar forecast. And if you guys are enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. All ad revenue from these weekly Forex forecast videos is donated to my local hospice charity. So every like helps and every share helps, guys. Let's get the video to more traders to help them with their trading and donate to charity. On to the euro here on the daily chart. Obviously, it's just the opposite of the DXY. We had that manipulative move. Now, I think it's clear where we are headed, right? Down to this rally demand at 1.08. And I personally will be looking for longs in this demand zone. I think it's a good demand zone. This is the move I'm hoping we can see on the euro. It doesn't mean, like I said, I'm just going to buy with a stop loss here. I'm going to be looking for a confirmation trade down in that daily demand zone. So I think we still have tons of profit margin to the downside if you think. So again, I am bullish the euro. It doesn't mean that we just want to wait for longs. You could trade the move down if you think that is what's going to take place. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. So as far as the euro goes for longs, I'd rather just wait for that daily demand zone to be hit. As far as shorts go, if you think we are going to pull back to that daily demand zone, if we do get a retracement up to this 4-hour supply at 1.09, we could definitely see a move off of that supply zone, as kind of the idea of, hey, maybe the banks need to push price back up to here to fuel for that bigger move down that we could expect. Now, we do have a little beautiful rally demand at 1.08. It's kind of right before the daily zone, so I think we will hesitate around there, maybe even react off of it positively. So this could be another zone of interest for you if you are bullish. But tons of profit margin to the downside. We don't really have a 1-hour downtrend just yet. So as far as trading goes, as far as zones, I'm really only seeing the 4-hour area of supply up there for potential shorts here on the euro US dollar. And like I said, profit margin easily down to the daily demand at 1.08. And then once we do contact that daily demand zone, at that point, guys, it's probably best to try to wrap the trade up, whether that's taking profit or taking profit on 50% of the trade, or taking your stop loss and bumping it up to more in the green into the money. So that is my analysis here on the euro, guys. Remember, any questions at all, do not hesitate to ask. I will respond to every single comment. All right, on to the forecast for gold, XAUUSD. So just like in gold here, we did break the high. We made all-time highs on gold, kind of floating around there, but it's been 3 massive red days here in gold. And I wasn't too worried about these red days because we were pulling right back into a rally-based rally demand zone. But look at this. We've pulled back basically 95% of the way into this daily demand zone. So it's really not looking great. It doesn't mean it's going to break for sure. We could basically wick right to the distal line of the zone, and it could still be respected. But this typically is not what you like to see, you know, when trading at a supply or demand zone. And what I think we could be taking place here is there's a nice little rally-based rally down here. I'm going to draw it out for you guys right here, something like this. And I think what we could see happen is just a move down to here and then a move up. I'm not going to have this zone as an official zone based on how I do my chain analysis, which is what we do in the membership, but I will have it as a zone of interest where, you know, it's a level on top of level. I think we could pull back down to here and get a move up. So I still think there is some downwards potential on gold. Now, as far as how I would be trading this I would just be looking for a confirmation trade, even if we're in the middle of here at any point from basically 23.45 and up. I would be looking for a confirmation trade. And what that's going to look like here is on the 1 hour chart. Unfortunately, it's going to be difficult to kind of get here, but on the 1 hour chart here, we basically need to start to see a 1 hour trend, something like this, and then maybe we could hop on that 1 hour trend with the idea that, hey, daily demand's in control, we could potentially move up, right? Because yeah, things are looking weak right now in gold, but when you get that higher time frame, bigger picture, it's really a different story, right? We are into a daily uptrend and a weekly, we're into a daily demand zone, into a daily uptrend and a weekly uptrend and a macro uptrend as well. So we really just want to see price start to turn around here on gold and start to see upward pressure so we can continue to, you know, look for longs here on gold. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing any good zones at this time. I mean, there is this 4 hour demand zone here. This is a risky kind of set and forget setup down here at 23.84, but it could work, right? It is with the trend on the daily chart, so it's a decent little rally-based rally zone. You can see a very nice move away, so definitely could be a zone of interest for you guys. I personally am going to be waiting for some sort of confirmation as we come off of these daily zones. And look, if we break, let's say we just blast through both of these daily zones and we break the daily upper trend line, that would suck, but it could be evidence to suggest that, hey, maybe this was just one massive fake out and maybe the banks want to push price all the way down to weekly demand, which I welcome. I would love that on gold. I would love to get a pullback down to 22.24 to fuel for that bigger macro trend up. So that's what I'm really hoping for. Fingers crossed. Will we get it? Who knows? In the meantime, be careful trading gold out there as the daily charts, as the lower time frames, the confirmation is going to be difficult to get, but we just need to start to see some upward pressure and maybe that upward trend line on the 1 hour chart. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. We will be doing a full top-down analysis here on the JPY. This is a weekly chart, and what you can see indicated by my upward arrow is a weekly trend. Not only that, we are into a rally-based rally weekly demand zone that broke an all-time high. Now, is this the greatest demand zone ever? Was it a massive move up? No, it wasn't, but it doesn't mean that we won't be going up from this zone. And you can clearly see here, look at the wick, right? We are already kind of pushing up out of the zone, so things are looking up. Now, on the daily chart, you can see we kind of had a fake out move here, I would say. It's kind of a tricky chart to read. We had an upward trend line, and we kind of faked below it. Now we push back up. We are going to be pushing into this daily supply. So as far as safe confirmation goes, it would be removing this daily supply. I think we will hesitate to get through there, but I think it's going to break based off the weekly demand zone, because what is stronger than a daily supply zone? That's my question to you guys. I want to see your answers in the comments down below. Now, as far as the 4 hour chart goes, the more clear confirmation is going to be the removal of this supply zone here on the 4 hour chart. And if we change the way I drew it here, which I think is fair, we could pretty much call it tested. I think that would be fine. And it's basically proven supply at this point. If we remove that, any 4 hour demand zone there, we could look for longs off of that. And I will have that zone for the members who get my daily chart analysis. And so that's what I'll be looking for. As far as a weekly kind of confirmation goes, we usually want to look for a 4-hour time frame confirmation. That's why I want to see this proven supply zone removed. Now, if you want to get aggressive with it, which I think is fair, there's times and places to be aggressive. When we have a weekly trend and a weekly demand zone in control, and you want to look for longs, I think that's a fair time to get aggressive. So if you do want to get aggressive, you could be on the 1-hour chart here. We have a 1-hour supply zone at 157.59. It's been proven so far. We've hesitated to get past it. So if we do remove this 1-hour supply, any 1-hour demand zone there, that would be your potential long trade off the 1-hour demand zone. I'll also have that zone on the charts for the members if it exists. So that's really the aggressive move, would be the removal of this supply zone. Why is it aggressive? Because typically when we go from a weekly chart, we want to look for confirmation on an H4. And if you want to get aggressive, you can scratch the H4 and just go to an H1. It's less confirmation based off of the time frame. Just like if you went from a weekly chart to a 1 minute, doesn't really mean much, right? So the 1-hour confirmation means less. However, since we have that weekly trend and a weekly demand zone in control, I think this is a good time to get aggressive and wait for that confirmation. Just on the 1-hour chart, but for you conservative traders out there, you could just be on the 4-hour chart waiting for the 4-hour confirmation or the daily confirmation to get in long on the USDJPY. On to the forecast for the GBPUSD. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on the pound. I want to know what you guys think is going to be taking place here on the pound. Now, I will give you my perspective here on the pound. We had a beautiful 4-hour trend to the upside. That trend was recently just removed. It's pretty much been red as far as the 4-hour chart goes here on the British pound. And so what that means is we are clearly, pulling back. Now, the big question is, where are we pulling back into? And the issue is I don't really have a daily demand zone. However, I'm sure most of you guys are eyeing out this one. Again, I don't have this one based on my chain analysis, but we can draw it just for the sake of it being what it looks like a demand zone. It is less quality based on my chain analysis, but I think this is clearly where we're headed down to about the 1.285 area down there, and we could definitely react off of that to the upside. So yeah, you could look for shorts down here. I don't think it's high odds, but I think there's clear profit margin down to this daily demand, where then we could look for longs. On the weekly chart, we are reacting off of this weekly supply. Now, last week I talked to you guys about this weekly supply. It was already tested very deep, basically 95% of the way in. So I highly doubt this supply is going to be responsible for a massive move down here in the pound. So we got to be kind of aware of that. Hopefully we can remove this weekly supply, but at the end of the day, I think that this pullback is kind of just temporary. So we want to stick to longs. There's no 1-hour downtrend, so shorts are going to be definitely more aggressive. But if you are bullish, if you are bearish, I think we are going to see some more downward pressure. There's a base drop supply zone at 1.296. We definitely could see a move off that 1-hour supply zone. But if we hit the daily demand zone first, so let's say this is the daily demand zone proximal line, we hit the demand zone first, we push into it, then we hit the supply. At that point, it becomes definitely lower odds in my opinion. So again, for shorts, we want to wait for that 1-hour supply to be removed. For longs, we want to wait for that daily demand to be hit that's down low. And then we could also wait for this 1-hour supply to be removed in any 1-hour demand zone there. We could look for longs off of that here on the GBPUSD. I know it's a little bit confusing, but at the end of the day, I think it's pretty simple. We are getting a pullback in a overall daily uptrend, which is great. That's when we want to be buying, right? So we just need to be a little bit patient, potentially wait for the pullback down to the daily demand. And if we don't get it, if we start to remove the 1-hour supply zone there, then we could look for longs off of that. On to the USDCAD forecast. Still on the daily chart, just a bunch of sideways nonsense here, so not a lot to go off of on that daily time frame. But on the 4-hour chart here, we are clearly pushing up, and we did break this supply zone pretty easily, but we are into this proven supply zone from back here. And we clearly wicked out of it again, so I'm really hoping we can remove this supply at this point. And then any 4-hour demands on there, yeah, we could look for longs off of it. Although I am bearish the dollar, this thing's looking pretty strong. And as far as the 1-hour time frame goes, we did get a beautiful little 1-hour demand zone here, a nice little rally demand zone, beautiful setup off of that 1-hour zone, and that is a zone we called out in the daily market breakdown videos. If you guys want access to those daily market breakdown videos, check out the Diamond membership. Links are in the description down below. We have a private Discord group. We have Sunday Zoom sessions where we talk strategy and my chain supply and demand analysis. video lessons, and much more. So check it out. Links in the description down below. Be happy to see all serious traders join the team. We also have lifetime access available as well. So in the meantime, we do have a beautiful 1 hour trend. Unfortunately, if you weren't in the group, you didn't get this trade, but good news is we have a nice 1 hour trend line. And so as long as this trend line is being respected, you could be looking for 5-minute time frame longs, as long as that trend line is being respected. And then, like I said, if we remove this 4 hour area of supply like that, any 4 hour demand zone there, we could look for longs off of like that. Do I want to be shorting at the supply zone? No, because it's very tested. So it's not really an area I feel comfortable getting in short at because it's so tested. So pretty much just want to wait for potential longs here on the USDCAD. All right, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD. So we're going to start with a 4 hour chart here. And in my opinion, we do have pretty much a 4 hour downward trend. I'm going to draw the trend line now. It's not the best, but we do have a 4 hour downtrend. You guys notice we are into one of my green boxes, which is a demand zone of 0.668. Nice little rally-based rally. It's a great looking zone. I think it's definitely possible we do break up to the upside. Why do I think it's not going to work though? And this is why, because there's a daily demand zone that's just a little bit lower at 0.6666. Don't like saying that, but it is what it is. So a nice rally-based rally demand zone that broke a very proven supply. If you guys have been watching my forecast for a while, we were talking about the supply. I actually called it out from back here. We got a nice trade off of that, and we really hesitated. So it's a very proven area of supply, and not only that, we have a beautiful uptrend as well. So honestly, I do think what we are seeing in a lot of these markets is just a pullback down to daily zones. So I think this is where we are headed, and we will react off of that daily zone. So that is why I think we will just pierce right below the 4 hour zone and wick right into this rally-based rally demand zone. Now, what I really hope is we get a deeper pullback down to this demand zone to get an even better entry, kind of stop out everyone that was long from there, and get a pullback down to that daily zone. But in the meantime, if you are bearish, there is still profit margin on the downside. It's risky. I would only be shorting on a 15-minute or a 5-minute time frame. That's pretty much it. But at the end of the day, what I will be doing, remember, I'm a swing trader. I don't day trade, so I will just be looking for longs in this zone. I will not be looking for shorts because I'm not a day trader. So again, I just really want to see a pullback down that daily zone. I think it's a good zone, and then we could look for a little 1 hour confirmation. Day trades become higher odds in that daily zone, so I'm really welcoming that pullback. In the meantime, yes, look on the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. Beautiful trends to the downside, right? So yeah, 15-minute, 5-minute time frame shorts are okay. It's just there's not that much profit margin left, right? So I think it's possible the 4 hour demand zone it gets respected, but ultimately I think we could be pulling back a little bit deeper. We could see some sort of manipulative move like that, and then a move up as we contact that daily demand zone. So potentially setting up for a nice buy opportunity here in the Aussie. And then once we do, like I said, let's say we hit that daily zone, the confirmation, we're going to be looking at this downward trend line. So let's say we hit the daily zone, we push up, break the downward trend line, any 1 hour demand zone there, that's going to be our confirmation trade. This is kind of the supply and demand model that we will be looking for as we contact that daily demand zone on the AUDUSD. On to the forecast for the USDCHF. So we do have a very nice daily downward trend, beautiful supply zone being respected. Go back and watch the forecast from the start of July. We called out that supply zone. Beautiful move off of that supply. So things are looking definitely bearish in my opinion. However, on the weekly chart, we do have a weekly demand zone in control, but we failed to really react. I mean, we did get an initial reaction. We moved about halfway up to this move. Now we are in for that second test, so it is lower odds for sure. So if you want to short, I don't blame you. In my opinion, every trading decision we should be making on this chart is on this 4 hour time frame. So let me be very clear. All the trading decisions are going to be revolved around this 4 hour area of supply and the downward trend line. If you are bearish, if you want to ignore that weekly supply and you'd like the daily downtrend, if you want to short, this would be our potential shorting opportunity at this drop-based drop 4 hour area of supply at 0.89. I think it's a good area of 4 hour supply. If you don't want to just short with your stop loss above and take profit below, that's okay. You could look for day trades in here. So if you're a day trader, it's a good little higher time frame to look for shorts in. And at any point, since we have a downward trend line being respected, you could be looking for 15-minute time frame shorts. Now, I would definitely suggest to see this momentum start to shift to the downside before doing that, or waiting for the supply to be hit. But like I said, as long as this downward trend line is being respected, I think 15-minute time frame shorts are going to be good for sure. So that is my analysis on the USDCHF. Hopefully it was clear. I try to be as clear as possible. Again, the higher time frames in the daily chart are showing weakness. On the in the daily chart showing weakness. On the weekly chart, it's showing somewhat strength, but not a lot. I don't really like what I'm seeing as far as the zone being tested again. So again, all trading decisions, whether you want to get in long. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention what we do for longs. So for longs, if that weekly demand is going to be respected, then this supply and downward trend line have to be removed. And then at that point, that would be our 4-hour time frame confirmation. That's why the whole analysis is going to revolve around this 4-hour chart, right? Shorts up here, as long as the trend line is holding, and if we pull into that 4-hour supply. But let's say we break the 4-hour supply like that, downward trend line gets broken. Again, any 4-hour demands on there. This is our confirmation model as we come off of that weekly area of demand here on the USDCHF. Last but not least, we are on to crude oil. So as far as the 4-hour time frame goes, we did break the lows here. We have beautiful downward trend lines. Or sorry, we don't have a trend line, but we do have 4-hour downtrends, that's for sure. We did have this old old resistance becoming new support here, and we are into this 4-hour demand zone now at 80.20. Now this is a pretty good demand zone. However, we have tested it 50% of the way in, so it's not looking too great. And I still think it's a decent area to look for longs. So if you want to look for longs off this 4-hour demand zone, at this point, it's too late to just take the whole zone now. So we want to look for a 15-minute confirmation, something like that to the upside on the 15-minute time frame to get that confirmation that, hey, maybe we're going to be pushing up off of this 4-hour demand zone. Now, similar to one of the other charts we were looking at, I do forget which one. I think maybe it was the Aussie. Yeah, it was the Aussie. I think we could actually break this 4-hour area demand. And why? Well, because just like the Aussie, there is a daily demand zone that's a little bit lower. And you guys know me, I've been pointing out this daily demand zone for so long. Beautiful rally-based rally, and there's even a backstop daily demand zone a little bit lower if we do actually end up breaking it, which is fine. I really am hoping we can get a pullback down to these daily demand zones. They did remove a downward trend line, so it's really, really good. So I'm hoping we can get a pullback down to there. We could get held up by that 4-hour demand and not even push down to it. That's also possible. But why I wanted to point out these daily zones is because I think that since the 4-hour demand zone is so close to the daily zone, right where we're at right now, I think it's possible that we just wick below it right into daily demand and then react off of it to the upside. So this is a good higher time frame demand zone to look for longs at on the daily chart right there. And again, on the 4-hour time frame, we have that beautiful, but essentially a liquidity trap setup demand zone down there that we could be looking for longs at. But again, we are already into the zone, so we want to look for confirmation now. And if you are bearish, if you think we are going to be pulling all the way back down to that daily demand zone, and maybe even the one lower, we have a drop-based drop supply at 81.80. If we do get a pullback off that off the demand, this would be our short. If you're going to short at all, which I'm not really recommending because I am bullish the oil chart. If you think we're going to pull back all the way down to the daily demand zones and we don't hit them first, this would be our drop-based drop supply zone that we could look for shorts off of as we potentially get a move down, like I said, all the way down to like 76.46. So if you think we're going to break the daily zone or go even lower, that would be our supply zone short. But for me personally, I'm just going to be waiting for that daily demand zone to be looking for longs for sure here on crude oil. If you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.